Diamondlot, The Diamond Squad. By Eric Waugh. Chapter 18. Curse. Nathan, Bella, and Lilu were now out in the waters, having visited a dock nearby the town of Anjin. The weather was bright and sunny, not a cloud in the sky, but all they had seen was nothing but water for a couple weeks, and they were beginning to run low on provisions. Everyone on board was growing weary and hungry, especially Lilu, who could barely fly. Bella checked her satchel, and in her hand, she held some crumbs of bread that was barely enough for one person. Nathan was ready to jump all over the scraps, but Bella allowed Lilu to take the rest. As he watched the dragon eat the remaining food, he asked Bella if there was anything left, but there was none. Out of desperation, he reached for her satchel, but Bella was trying to ward him away. While they were fighting over the satchel, they were oblivious to the weather that was changing. The sky filled with dark clouds as a storm was approaching. Suddenly, a downpour of rain fell and heavy winds crashed against their boat and blew them out into the water. Luckily, they both knew how to swim and managed to keep their heads above water. However, the wind speed continued to increase and a hurricane began to pull them in. They were carried away with the winds, and they would have very little recollection of what happened next. When Bella woke up, she found Nathan and Lilu had already regained consciousness before her. She looked around to find that the hurricane had brought them to the shores of the island that was filled with sand. However, if they were to venture further into the island, there seemed to be a massive forest where they could easily get lost. Without a sign of a watercraft on the shores, Nathan and Bella decided it would be best to explore the forest. However, Lilu felt uneasy about going into the forest. Her instinct kept telling her that something ominous was lurking inside, and she also had the awful feeling that someone or something was watching them. But Bella and Nathan continued to walk forward, and Lilu had no choice but to follow them. As they wandered further into the forest, they began to hear noises that were not reminiscent of any animal they were familiar with. Lilu grew so concerned that she was no longer flying around, but was now resting on Bella's shoulder, covering her eyes. They would continue to walk when suddenly they heard a growling noise. The noise startled Bella and made her jump into a fighting position. She pulled her spear out, then she glanced over to where Nathan was standing. The noise came from his stomach. Bella and Lilu were not impressed, but another noise was made. They both looked to Nathan again, but this time, it was not him. They slowly turned around, expecting to see a monstrous creature. But what they saw was a small creature waddling towards them. It had 2 feet, no arms, an angry-looking face, and was green throughout. It was also in the shape of a mushroom. As Nathan poked at the awkward-looking creature, it ran up to him and kicked him in the shins, yelling, "Greck!" Nathan began holding his shin and hopping around to douse the pain. Meanwhile, Bella picked up the creature and shouted in excitement. She was complimenting on how cute and adorable the creature was, but Nathan called it an abomination. Bella asked Nathan to give the creature a chance, but as she put it closer towards him, Nathan yelled to keep it away. Nathan was running away, but Bella kept chasing him with the creature in front of her. They ran through the forest with great speed until out of nowhere, someone in knight's armor riding a horse thrusted his lance in front of Bella. The knight demanded for Bella to drop the creature immediately, as the creature was cursed, and if held any longer she would be affected as well. Bella looked at the Greck one last time, before placing it on the ground to let it waddle away. After the creature had disappeared, the knight told them to follow him through the forest. He also instructed Nathan, Lilu, and Bella to keep their distance from one another to prevent the spreading of the curse. Although Bella was skeptical of the knight, they complied and followed the knight with his steed.